they've got the Yopaj TA coming out down mid a bit early, as they still have yet to see Team D's own mid pickup, but they can kind of counteract the big ones. They ban out the Viper, Ember was already banned out a while ago, Puck's gone as well, so they're kind of securing that TA's lane. Maybe a Razor could still slide mid here for Team D if they really want to apply the pressure, but otherwise Yopaj is going to try to set that pace, you know, hit that Dragonlance timing, hit the Deso timing that we see all the time, and just join in where Skem's jumping around. So you have some good pacing here for Neon. The Nature's Prophet doesn't take too much farm. The TA can take that big position in the jungle instead and kind of build up for the team from there.
Fair enough. Final pickups here, or rather banouts. Viper being removed by OB.Neon. Fair enough. You don't want that against the TA. I think you can still happily run mid laner if you want into TA. I think it's perfectly fine. You might kind of fear though that you're not doing enough to slow down your Page in the mid lane, and I feel like that's one of the things that every team fears when they do go up against OB.Neon, is the fact that you have this mid laner who can just 1v9 if he needs to. Even if his team's just not working, your Page, he'll just do it himself if he needs to get it done. Yeah, so you really want to make sure this TA does not have a good game here in this game number 1. Obviously, momentum matters as well. You win game 1, you're going to be feeling better in game 2. Much more relaxed, knowing that you're one game away from qualifying through to the Pro Series. And of course, the loser of this game 1, they're going to be under a bit more pressure during that game 2, because you're one game away from getting knocked out. You don't want to be in that position. And Team D, these are all players that work quite hard to get to this stage. So there's a lot on the line for both teams, I'd say. But Team D, they probably wanted it a little bit more, I'd say, in comparison to OB.Neon, who just came off 2 tournament wins. But then again, you know, OB.Neon, I'm sure they enjoy winning quite a bit. I mean, Scam, he's getting tattoos, John. They're not cheap, right? He needs some money for those.
That he does. So hopefully we'll see if they can pull it off. Last picks coming out, OB.Neon goes first. So there's not much flex going on here, so they don't really need to reveal too much, just what they want on the off lane coming out from Enryu. If they want to go all in on push, a DP could still line up. Like, we tend to see them do that. Off lane DP with Nature's Prophet, TA to just soak the space from getting all those towers down. That could be one way to set the pace here for Neon side if they want it. There is still the option for Mars. It hasn't been banned out. If they want some team fight instead, Mars Lion is a pretty good lane to play with as well. Or Mars Earth Spirit. It's also still very strong. So they could go that route, but looks like Neon is going to take their time picking up here. Just dig into that reserve a bit.
Yeah, why the hell not? You've got the time, you may as well use it. Seems like they are lacking that off lane. Wouldn't mind a bit more team fight for OB.Neon, but it's already looking quite strong with this Lion Earth Spirit combo. Always enjoy the global presence of the CTM Nature's Prophet as well. Very annoying to play against, and one of his best heroes, and in fact they're going to go for the DLC, and I really like that. Because you really do have quite a nice global presence now, right? Like, you've got this LC, he's going to go for a Blink Dagger, you can roll in with the Earth Spirit, you've got the Finger to just burst somebody down, and on top of that, you've got this Prophet who can just TP in and help you out during the duel. And Team D, they do have the answers for it. But they've got to be careful. It's all about setting the pace for the game, right? Like, you've got to be careful not to allow OB.Neon to get that good start in this game. Otherwise, they may just steamroll all over you in game 1.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Team D has to buy the space out for their Luna to keep farming up, for Drew to get really big and start to really feel strong, and that does take some time for the Luna. And early on, she's constrained by Eclipse in terms of teamfight presence. So Team D has to be able to know when to take this fight as 5, when to just leave the Luna alone. For the most part, you just want to leave her alone, have her work on her own thing, and join down later down the line. Team D, we're still waiting to see if they're flexing this Lina as a 4 or mid. I think the matchup, as you mentioned, Lina mid versus TA is not bad at all, and Chris should be able to hold his own there if they want, but they will give up on the Sand King Lina combo. So if they are going to go mid Lina, pause 4, should want something that can help you set up with a Sand King to apply that harassment on the Nature's Prophet. You don't have the option for Mirana. It was banned out earlier on, so something with a stun just to help you chain stun and maximize that presence from the Sand King here.
Okay, fair enough. Team D, 15 seconds left to think about it. They're going to use their reserve time to make this final decision. Oh, Okay, they'll go for a Snapfire pickup. Very different here from Team D. So mid laner looks like, and yeah, Krish will go ahead and take it. You should have the pause 4 there. Destrus will take the Snapfire. Very interesting stuff. I mean, the kisses are very good into the TA, right? Like, it's very annoying for Yopaj now, in the middle of a team fight, to have these kisses flying out at you. As well as that, you have Cookie to get out of things like the Sprout. Still a pretty decent pick, and even during some duels, just having those kisses might make it so you might win the duel on your end of things. Do you like it though, John? Do you like Team D's draft going into this, or do you think you prefer OB.Neon's?
I think I'd still lean towards Neon, but I think Team D has the answers quite nicely. Like, they can kind of play around with the lane combo of Sand King Snap. That is actually pretty potent, right? Like, you have good stuns, you have good damage, you have the Cookie follow-up for, say, the Burrow Strike, or Cookie to set up for the Burrow Strike if you want to play that way. You've got good minus armor, good wave clear across most of your supports, except for the Abaddon, most of your heroes, and you have a way of stopping that push. I think for Neon's end, it's just down to the fact that they've got the TA. Like, the win condition on the TA and CTM on the NP, for me, it gives me enough confidence in OB.Neon's draft and what they want to do. They just have to hit those spikes. It's down to Team D to hit that execution early on. We have to see KYXY sort of dominate that lane, take control early on. I think Destrus down the line, he might want to save his low shredder to just burn away at Refraction. On the TA, that can be one way to get that done as well. You just immediately melt 6 charges of the Refraction, especially if you get a side lane rotation early on, that just melts really fast.
It certainly
does.
does.
Just take control of Yopaj very quick and burst him down from there. Can be a bit uncomfy for the TA. Yopaj is probably going to need a BKB this game earlier on than he'd want to, so we'll see if Team D can play that aggression. I still think that giving these comfort picks to OB.Neon is less than ideal. Like CTM, Nature's Prophet, we've seen him play against highly unfavorable matchups and still work it around. So I think Team D has to put that work in to make these heroes look bad.
Okay, fair enough. I kind of agree with you on that as well. I was kind of leaning more towards OB.Neon's draft, but it really could go either way. And I've been saying it over and over again, but I really like the way Team D's been playing. Like, they've been surprising a lot of people during these qualifiers, and quite frankly, they look like one of the better teams. In some games, you just kind of watch the way they play, and they just look very smooth.
Yeah.
Genuel, he's telling him, you're going to wreck us. Now, this is a bit of mind games from Genuel, because Ponlo said the same thing the last time they went against them. And Team D did beat them. So I feel like Genuel's kind of doing the reverse card here. Just to try and switch it up, and OB.Neon. I'll see if it gets it done.
The battle begins.
Yeah. Plumping around for the bounty runes, no big scuffle. It does feel like Team D should be able to get away with more. Enryu's being blocked quite nicely, so a 3-for-1 trade coming out here. Or is it just a 2-for-2? No, a 3-for-1. And that sets themselves up quite nicely, especially for mid. Krish can have an earlier bottle timing to sustain the harassment out on the Lina. He is laning against Yopaj on the TA. And again, early levels here, TA doesn't feel amazing. It is, again, easier for you to line up side blades when you're trying to target someone further back, like Alina, because she's ranged. And Yopaj does opt for level 1 side blade, so he can kind of just try to line up, get some harassment off, but as the levels go up, at least by level 2, level 3, Krish should be able to still hold the lane quite nicely, land the LSA, get Fiery Soul stacks up, and get some good right-click harassment off.
Yeah, I appreciate the respect Krish paid at the just before the game started as well, referring to Yopaj as idol, you know. He's everyone's idol, Yopaj. He's just that kind of mid player that you know has a very bright future. Which is very, very good to see. Still, we'll have a look at the other lanes as well. Top lane, you've got CTM and Genuel there against KYXY and Destrus. That's a great boulder smash from Genuel, but it's not going to lead to much. He just wants to make sure CTM can have a very good early start on this lane.
Yeah, and they're kind of giving that to him. CTM having good CS on hand, kind of zoning out KYXY and Destrus for at least this first wave. And Genuel still has access to his jungle, although it is blocked out. Looks like that small camp, so no pull opportunities just yet. But once he can line that up, once he can maybe get some EXP on the plus 5 Earth Spirit, that's when things can get interesting. Now, mind you, Earth Spirit as a 5, if it doesn't get the EXP, if it doesn't get, say, certain timings and rotations off, it will feel a bit flat. So we'll have to see if Genuel can do that. But I'm saying that about a guy that played pos 5 Troll.
Right.
So if he can do it on Troll, I don't think the Earth Spirit's going to be any more challenging.
Yeah, I mean, Genuel's the red panda of SCA, almost, right? Like, he's, you know, pos 5 Void, pos 5 Troll. Is there a difference? Not really. It's the same crap, but, you know, for some players it works. Top, or rather bottom lane, Drew and Ponlo are going to be against Enryu and Shanks. It looks like Drew are going to be very low in terms of HP already, and we've seen this before from Enryu. Loves to spam those overwhelming odds, and oh, that's a nice self-cancellation. He just got off on Drew. No regen left, apart from some tangos and another Earth Spike as well. Enryu going to just charge in, but he could be in a spot of danger as well if he's not too careful. But the self-cancellation already going to be quite nice.
Yeah, it's going to set back Drew just a bit. He can play at range, and they've got the couriers coming in. The salve coming out here for Abaddon to pass forward. So you are going to have a top-up for Drew. You are fairly low on Enryu's. Well, he is out of mana, which is the one failing point of the LC. Spamming out those overwhelming odds is fairly costly. You don't have the biggest mana pool. No source of regen just yet. There is a wand coming in, but I don't think that's going to be enough to compensate. Although they do catch Ponlo out.
They do, but it's an Abaddon. He's just going to Photic Shield and run. So they are really just dominating this lane, it almost feels like, here on the side of OB.Neon in this off lane. And you are going to have the Soul Ring coming out now from Enryu, so he's basically going to have unlimited spam going on. Which should be very nice for him, I'm sure. Like, no, he doesn't go for the Soul Ring. He goes for the Magic Wand first. Maybe just wanting to abuse the charges there with the Lucent Beam and Mist Coils and a Photic Shield, which makes enough sense as well. It just depends which one gives you more value.
Yeah, should get enough value here. The issue is there's not many spells left to cast on Ponlo and Drew. So you're not going to get too much of a top-up, but the Soul Ring looks to be lined up fairly quick anyway. And so far, the lanes are looking good for OB.Neon. All their cores are finding really good farm at 3 minutes in. The Abaddon's presence just doesn't feel great from Ponlo. Abaddon Luna as a lane is fairly slow. They kind of have to play passive, just cop the hits coming out from Enryu and Shanks and survive. That's the game plan. So far, they've been doing a good job at surviving and stopping the pulse. And in that sense, you're still happy on the Luna, but you are lagging behind compared to an NP, which isn't really the best bit of news there.
Certainly not. Every other lane quite quiet right now. Yopaj leading the mid lane in terms of CS, but it is very close between the two. Krish also doing a great job on the laner. Just 1 CS behind the TA, and I'd say that's very good news for Krish, considering you are still versing a TA who can take those side camps very easily. So it's good to see that Krish is able to, for now, keep up in terms of CS, and we'll see if he can keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're happy with keeping at least an even pace with a TA. The TA, of course, can just kind of fix that by going in the jungle and just build off from there. Haven't been any opportunities to stack up that jungle, though. So the triangle is sort of dry for Yopaj. And once Krish hits the spike, he does opt for the Dragon Slave kind of build up. It does hit a lot harder once your refraction fades, so Yopaj has to watch himself just a bit more. If Krish is allowed to rip right through him, you could get caught off guard and just kind of melt.
Dire structures are fortified.
Oh, the side blades, you've got to be careful. There's another. He needs to get away, but that range creep could be the death of him if he's not too careful. But no, Yopaj, he's being sneaky. He wants to try for this. A CTM is TPing in. Krish gets the sprout off, and he's dead. First blood will go the way of Yopaj. He just continues clapping away. And CTM, back up to the top lane, is right back to farm. Nothing ever happened for CTM. He was always at the top lane.
Yeah, that's a lovely thing about CTM's Prophet. Just the aggression early on. He's willing to commit for those kills. He goes back to farming. He hasn't been zoned out by the Sand King from KOXY at all, which is kind of troubling to see. And like, KOXY still getting his farm. He was clearing out the further jungle. He is getting some pulls and multiple clearings on the jungle quite nicely, but you have to worry about the NP just getting a bit too much presence early on. And Yopaj, he hits 6 faster than Krish. He's got the traps running. There's some time now to actually stack up from Shanks, and they can start playing that economy game on OB.Neon's end, where they can start to invest now in Yopaj down the line.
Certainly so. You look at that bot lane as well. Enryu, he's having such a good time. 39 and 8 on the LC. He's not been shut down whatsoever. And we've seen LCs during these close qualifiers before. If they get a good start, it can be very scary. So that dual damage starts to rack up and you feel that momentum going. It can be very hard to stop it, and it isn't a bad game either. Like, if you do get that good start, it's not going to be hard to duel up the Snapfire or the Lina or the Luna for that matter and just kind of burst them down.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Drew now. And Ponlo run right into him. Januel's going to die in the mid lane, it seems like. However, they've still got Ponlo here on the Abaddon. Still, Shanks is the one being chased now. Drew, lose some beam. Not going to have the vision. Shanks going to keep running the other way. Drew, can he get the vision? He'll try. Meanwhile, Ponlo will drop to Enryu. And now the press the attack is going to make it so Shanks does get out.
Just a lot of back and forth trades. Trading supports in the end. Don't think you mind that too much. That was the first Laguna from Krish to get the kill on Johnnyuel. And the Lina getting the kill does feel a little bit better, as it was important. But Drew...
Oh, CTM. He takes down Drew. You've always got to watch this man. You never know when he's coming. He throws the Nature's Wrath out. He TPs down bot. Nobody expecting it. And he just bursts down Drew. And you can't even punish him. He's just going to walk away. No problem. Back to the top lane. Again, John, nothing ever happened for CTM. He was always up here.
Yeah, it's just a run and gun with a Prophet here. While that happens, bot, they're clumping up mid. They've got a good surround. Johnnyuel's got the angle for Krish, but they're jumping someone else first.
Yeah, they'll go after Ponlo for a bit, but they do force the rotation in from Drew. They might be able to pick up Shanks, but Yopaj, he's going to turn around. Back on a Ponlo and almost burst him down, but the Aphotic Shield is there. And now the Laguna verifies though Yopaj. He's still alive. If you're going to kill him, you've got to make sure he's dead, as now Krish gets caught out with the Jewel, and OB.Neon, they're going to start running them down. Ponlo, he'll hide, but no, the Courier, it gives the vision. Enryu will happily take his life for the Courier going down. And it wasn't even his Courier, it was Januel's. So who cares? It's a support Courier. No problem for Enryu.
Oh yeah, that was great from Neon. Like, they held on Yopaj, just knowing the limits with his stick charges and the fairy fire. They do spot out the jungle stacks, but they're not able to clear just yet. And
Spyro Strike, KYXY in there in time, and Januel is gonna die. Yopaj still going after Krish on this Lina, has the refraction, misses the light strike array. Earth Spike is there as well from Shanks. They should have another burrow soon, but they've got no mana for it. Still, Yopaj is dropping low, but they need more stuns out, and now they might be able to get it, but the press the attack is there, and KYXY. He'll get it done, as now Enryu gonna be chased down, but the cookie is not gonna land, but they'll get the light strike array, and that's gonna be more than enough. Team D, they contribute 5 heroes into the mid lane to make sure they get these core kills.
And that's big. Slowing down Yopaj is great. They get the punishment they need for those deep dives. They do give a lot of space towards CTM though. He's just playing top. He already has one of the Oblivion staffs up. So he's just one set away from finishing up the Orchid with a recipe, and that's a big spike. They are still playing aggressive mid though.
Oh, Krish. He's going to be fine. Yopaj wasn't around, but now he is. Traps are set. Still, KYXY might be targeted as the dust is out. Well, the Sand King is completely out of mana. He does have the Vanguard, though, which does make him tankier. And now the roll in from Januel is off the mark and may cost him his own life, as they'll even turn back in onto Enryu, who does get stunned up, and he's going to die again. Team D just matching the aggression in the mid lane. And this is basically how that last series between OB.Neon and Team D went. Just 5 heroes in the mid lane going at it.
Yeah, and while all of that holds on, like, the NP and the Luna are trying to farm out each side lane as well. And you are still seeing better growth on CTM in that sense. So I still worry about that, because they're trading these heroes nicely on Team D's part, compensating for that earlier start. But your Luna is still off to a very slow foot here. Drew's trying to go into the Mask of Madness. That's when the farm accelerates. But Scam already found that bot tier 1 all by himself. Top tier 1 is still healthy. Your Luna needs a little bit more time to cook up. And OB.Neon's not going to need too much time for Scam to start TPing again. Like, again, the Orchid's almost done. That's when it gets really scary, because the presence of CTM with the silence, it's going to be much more impactful. And they've slowed down a bit here on Neon's end. Yopaj playing in the jungle, just saving up for his Dragonlance. I mean, he's been taking these fights with just the Power Treads and Blightstone. He's not even itemized to fight just yet, so he needs to go back into the farm mode. Once the Dragonlance is up, which it is, he's just going to look for the Blink Deso, and that's the point where you feel comfy again on Neon. You can rip through the Sand King with a Vanguard, at that point. For now, KYXY is just doing, he's done a great job in putting his big tanky body forward. They can't quite squish that Scorpion yet.
Certainly not. So both teams, they will take a bit of a break from all the fighting to try and get their own farms up. I say that, top lane, there is going to be a bit of a group up here from Team D as Januel. It's going to be the one around, but KYXY is not going to be able to get the Burrow Strike off in time. Just out of range. Meanwhile, Skem, he has picked up the full Orchid now. And he is top the net worth board along with Yopaj. So now if you're Skem, you're more than ready to go. If you find anyone alone on the map, you know he's TPing in. Roll, here we go. They might take advantage right now, but the kick is not going to connect from Januel. Now the kisses are out. A great light strike array, Krish. He catches both of them. OB.Neon, they wanted to defend the tier 1, but they're going to have to let it go down. Both their supports are dead now, and Team D, they will be able to finally trade the tier 1 towers. However, CTM, trying to be a little bit sneaky to get that tier 1 mid, is going to be able to get away with a bit of chip damage.
Yeah, it's not the trade OB.Neon was looking for. They need to be a lot more cautious. Januel, his roll-in just didn't line up, a bit eager. Maybe with his blink up now on Enryu, it can line up a lot faster. Like, you can just depend on blink duel coming through. The follow-up damage can just fly in. The saves from Team D is basically just down to the aphotic shield for now. And that should be the smoke opportunity, and they do pop it. Let's see if they do manage to find the hero they want. They've got decent enough vision on the map. I say that, but they only have one obs right now in the Roche pit, so semi-blind here for Neon. We'll have to see who they catch out.
Krish would be a great target. He does have friends around though, so it might be a little bit more challenging, but no, they see him, they'll go straight for the duel. Roll in, Ponlo gonna try and save the day, but the meld strike and the finger is there. That's gonna be more than enough, as now they'll go for even more. Psyblade's bouncing around everywhere. There's your Magnetize. KYXY, he's gonna survive. The Sandstorm makes it so he evades an attack. And they get CTM. Still, they'll lose Ponlo in the end, but in the end, it seems very worthwhile to kill off the Prophet. A 2-for-2 trade. But OB.Neon, they are still going to apply the pressure through that mid lane. Trying to secure that mid tier 1 tower. But now KYXY going to move back in with a Burrow out in the Sandstorm onto Yopaj. But he's going to turn back around. He misses the uphill Nord Strike though. And now the Epicenter's there. He's in trouble. Kisses around. He will go down onto Enryu now. The last one left. And they even commit the Eclipse. Though all of them apparently hit the neutral camp, so Drew couldn't get the kill, but it doesn't matter. They secure pretty much a team wipe on the side of OB.Neon.
Yeah, Neon have to be so cautious jumping a Sand King. Like, the burst damage just isn't there yet on their TA. Dragonlance is great, you really need the Deso up, and they're going to lose their mid-tier 1 first. So a good turnaround from Team D. They get the objective, favorable objective trade. Their mid is still low. It is within deny range, so the next time around, probably Skem can just TP in with a Treants and clear that out himself. But you've got the net worth lead now in Team. Marginal lead, less than 1k. Your Luna is still trying to play catch-up, but you're at the point where Drew's matching Yopaj, and that's when it gets scary. The TA is not getting the space it needs. Even KYXY is having a better time on the Sand King. He's got his travels up. He's been working each lane really well, and they deny the mid-tier 1 gold. So you don't even get the gold from that objective trade. And because it's a mid for mid, map control stays relatively even across both sides. Neon, I think they need some patience here. They need to wait for Yopaj to finish one more item, either the Blink or Deso, and I would feel a lot better about the Deso here, just for the damage output before committing for these fights. Unless they have Finger Up, I don't think you're really going to find the dual wins, and I don't think you're going to sustain the long-term fights here.
Janx, there's some deep vision in that Radiant jungle now. Blink Dagger is up on Yopaj, so he might be able to get a bit more active on this TA, but we'll probably want to keep working towards the Deso. Drew's been doing a great job, by the way, on that Luna farming up. 7.3k net worth, just behind CTM. Naturally, it is a Luna, though, to be fair, so, you know, does tend to escalate in farm. And I guess that goes to show how well CTM's been doing on the Prophet, who's still ahead of that Luna. And just by about 1k, in fact over 1k, about 1.5k net worth. Yeah, gonna have his BKB up soon.
He just works the map so well. Like, he knows where to go, where to show up, where to shove out. reach into the jungle, get the camps,
Duel's out.
and just join in these fights.
They've got the Luna. They're not going to be able to finish the duel in time. And the Burrow Strike is there. KYXY, he does come in with the Epicenter. And now Enryu. It was wishful thinking. I think he was expecting a TP in from CTM. And it just never ended up coming. And KYXY with those boots of travel, he is able to close the gap very fast and turn that fight around.
Yeah, I think CTM saw that TP in on the side from the vision they were getting on the LC and just decided probably not a fight we win. So they just sacrificed the LC. Unfortunate set of fights. At least they don't bleed out a dual win. But the Roche is going to melt fast here. Team D is already starting. OB.Neon, no traps in that area. Good wards to watch here from Team D for the rotation in. So they should be able to take this first Roche. The scan is there, but just a bit too late.
It certainly is a bit too late here. First Roshan of the game will be the way of Team D.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Bit of pressure being applied across the map here from CTM, but they won't mind too much. They'll respond with KYXY. He's always going to be ready to respond with those BOTs, as now Drew, or rather Enryu, is going to jump in. Drew's going to avoid being jeweled up, and he had the Aegis anyway, so you may have gotten the first life, but he did have friends around just in case he did cop the jewel. They may have even been able to turn it there with Destrus and the Mortimer's Kisses. Team D still off to a great game one.
Yeah, they're just finding the favorable teamfight trades. They found the better objectives now with a Roshan under their belt. And their win condition in that Luna is starting to ramp up quite fast. BKB for Drew is not too far off now. So it's going to match that pace from CTM in a bit. They are just going to focus in on shoving this bot lane out with the NP. But KYXY is already just keeping watch. They're ready for the defense. He's just done so much work in the Sand King. We'll have to see if CTM's BKB will be enough to let him survive in the middle of these fights.
KYXY is going to show himself with that Sandstorm. We'll just sit on the edge. Sentry down, going to be within range, and KYXY, he has no idea what's coming, but the TPs are also coming to try and help him out in time. Jewel is there, finger out as well. Can they save him? Not quite. Destrus, though, going to move in with Drew now and Krish, and they'll try to trade. Genuel, Laguna immediately out, and Shanks will also die. So 2 for 1. You know, 1 core for 2 supports. Not really that bad, especially when you consider that Krish got both the support kills. Melina can... Yeah, it can turn into its own carry later on in the game as well. So the gold is certainly going to help Team D.
Yeah, and CTM was forced to use his BKB to TP out there. So that's his first charge down to 8 seconds. Big win for Team D in holding off. And you're happy. Your tier 2 bot is still very healthy. The push couldn't come out there from OB.Neon. Neon are still stalling out for Yopaj. And he's got the blink. Still needs a Deso. 600 gold away. So I think they're fine with playing 4v5 and just losing supports to get the TA the space it needs to really build farm. Like once the Deso is up, that's when Yopaj can join in and play around, get the damage off, burst them down, get the damage issues sorted out, because it does feel like in a prolonged fight, they focus so much on a Sand King, they blow so many spells in one hero, and that they run out of tools afterwards, and it's really down to Yopaj to kind of give them some tools to play with. So, just going to have to accept the slow point here for Neon. Team D, they clear out the bot tier 1, all tier 1 towers gone now, and they are smoked around looking for a kill.
That they are. OB.Neon, they're going to hang around in that triangle though of the Radiant side. Mid lane, Enryu looking to move in. Jewel is out. They've caught the Lina. He's not really that squishy either. He's going to survive. Burrow strikes in. They've got the stuns out. They have saved Krish for now. KYXY, he's going to drop, and Krish eventually does go down as Yopaj. He gets a double, and Ponlo, he's just going to have to TP out on the Abaddon. A 3-for-0 trade in the end. And it looked like it may be a decent turnaround there from Team D, but it doesn't end up working out.
No. The initiation from Neon was a lot cleaner. They managed to get the damage with Yopaj standing on the high ground as well. Those side blades starting to do some serious work with the Desolator. So this is the point where Neon can start feeling strong again. They get the lead back 2k their way. They're getting the control. They're getting the dual wins they need. 40 damage up in Enryu. Not the most we've seen. Still more than enough to do some work. And the side of Team D, they have to be a bit cautious about having the Lina up front like that. It still needs to be KYXY to set up the space. His Burst Strike also got him caught in chain stuns afterwards and just kind of broke off their counter initiation. So Neon still staying around though.
There they are, traps out, gonna slow everyone up, and now a big silence there from Genuel as it looks like Destrus is just gonna melt onto the Sand King. They will get KYXY. They find another 2. And, well, they might even find more. Drews come in. They want to try and force another team fight. I'm not sure about this, though. Roll away. They'll go after Ponlo instead and try to pop the borrowed time. They'll get it. Sprout up from CTM as well. And the body blocks are there with the treants. They'll give even more away. As now they'll have a look for Drew, and they found him. The trap does connect. Genuel will roll right in onto the Luna. BKB there, but it's not going to matter because you've got the jewel out and they'll get the Aegis. Can they get him a second time? Sprout is there, Spike does connect, but it looks like they're going to be more than happy with the set of events that have occurred. OB.Neon, they will back with a 4K net worth advantage now.
Yeah, that's a big win for OB.Neon. They get every kill they want, they take away the Aegis. It was about to expire. I think if they stalled out that fight for maybe 10 more seconds, they would have been able to find a full kill on Drew. So just a bit early on the engage, but still pays off. And they're set to grow bigger. Like, once Yopaj has the BKB, he has very little to worry about in the middle of these engagements. We have to see Team D take the active role here. They've been playing on the back foot. They've been the ones being jumped in. They need to be the ones on the hunt. But look at Neon. Just smoke after smoke. They're going again.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the duel off cooldown again. You just go right in onto Drew, who doesn't have the Aegis and is going to die. And look, they go right for more. Destrus is not going to get slowed up. He does avoid the boulder smash. But you just lost Drew. And OB.Neon, they just continue to escalate this net worth lead. And you talked about Enryu's damage. He's just doubled it over the last couple minutes as KYXY. No, he's going to be fine. He does TP out. OB.Neon, this is their timing. They're feeling it now. And Team D, they've got to try and ride out the storm.
Yeah, they need to hold off. Like, their high ground defense is good from Team D. I don't think they really want to find themselves in that situation again. I think they can fight. Team D has not been able to use the Burrow Strike Epicenter in the way we've seen in a while. Even the Eclipse, the only one we saw landed on creeps mainly. They just need to find those angles, but it's getting harder. With Yopaj with a BKB, that teamfight potential is kind of shot down. So maybe if you catch Yopaj first before he pops the BKB, burn through the refraction, and go from there, it starts to feel a lot better. But again, the only way that happens is if they get the initiation first. They are smoked up here, though.
They are. Smoke is there. Who do they want to target? It's going to be CTM on that Prophet, but the press the attack. With the shards up, he's going to turn around now. KYXY just melts. Drew, he gets jeweled up, but he actually ends up going down. They had the damage this time around as Yopaj, he'll BKB TP away, and Genuel will drop to boot. So a 3-for-1 trade definitely in the favor of OB.Neon. And Enryu, how did he melt that quick? Where did the damage come from?
I'm not sure. I think they did just manage to get their spell use off. The right-click damage flying out on Krish is still not something you can underestimate. You're not that tanky on the LC with a Siphon build-up, and you just kind of melt away. It was mainly from our Luna, though. Like, the farm coming out on Drew is big enough. You just pop the Mask of Madness, get the right clicks off. You win out. You've got the Chrysalis on hand. Now you have additional 20 damage as well, unfortunately. So, works out. I think the mistake there was CTM Sprout. He caught a creep with him in the tree line. So they had vision inside his Sprout, and he just died there. And they lost the NP when they didn't need to. And they can't really get the full shove up top. The creep wave is going to be a bit longer. Respawns are going to be back up. But Neon feed away a couple of kills that it feels like they shouldn't have been able to. They still hold the lead at 4K up. But you can see that Team D, I mean, their lineup still has a lot of damage. A lot of scaling potential in it. And Neon has to respect that. They can't just afford to just jump in, feel confident, get the duel on a core, and just kind of go from there. If everyone else actually has the backup in Team D, you are in for trouble.
Try and go back into that Radiant Triangle. Ponlo in a great position here to break the smoke if it does come, and they even get a nice scan out. So they definitely know where they are. And they're just going to stand their ground and almost invite OB.Neon to try and go into that triangle if they wish. OB.Neon, they'll reveal themselves now in the mid lane. Team D, they're not going to make the jump in. They'll be patient about this, and We'll just go back and farm and look for another opening here against Team D. Certainly this wasn't the one.
No. And Team D is going to be very happy about this stall out. Next Roshan in about a minute. They're going to be setting up for it. There are the traps, though, from Neon. Yopaj keeping vision in the pit. So they're going to know if a Roche play is happening, and they're just going to go for the tier 2. They left that bot tier 2 alone for a bit long. They go back for it, clean up. They can take the outpost. And they are protected from the rotations, as Enri is just standing mid with that invis. So he's keeping vision up. He's breaking the smokes if they do come true. Team D going to have to look for that trade up top. They are making their way up there. Drew is around with the damage. So if they want to, if they see the opportunity, they could go for the objective trade.
Neon, big team fight to set up for. KYXY is in that sandstorm, make it a little bit difficult to jump in. And who are they going on? Enryu, he doesn't make the blink. Meanwhile, CTM though, he is split pushing the bot lane. Looks like the side of Team D, they are gonna just TP back and respond to this. So fight never really breaks out. Team D, they don't get the tier 2 tower, but they might try to force a Roshan. In fact, they found Ponlo. Ponlo just chilling out in the Roshan pit, gonna get kicked back into the pit, and now the jewel's out. They are a bit early with the jewel, but it won't matter. They have plenty of damage. And it's perfect timing, because Roshan's there waiting for OB.Neon.
They have good fight opportunities here in Team D. KYXY, if he finds the angle for that burrow strike, could be devastating. Neon has to play fairly safe. They don't fully commit yet. They know it's a risk, and they're just gonna have to play a bit back and forth here.
They'll still go for the fight though, I think. CTM, he's going right onto the high ground, onto the cliff himself. I'm not sure if that's where he really wants to be because there's a ward there, but he does get the D ward off. Drew's still going to get to work, and CTM, he's forced the BKB TP out. Meanwhile, Yopaj, he's just gotten to work. He found Krish on his own. KYXY, they're going to have the burrow, but there's your press the attack, and now KYXY, he'll try for the epicenter. Meanwhile, Drew, he does get the Eclipse off and does kill off CTM. But the Eclipse is about to wear off, and they'll go straight in for a duel. And they'll get him. Drew to go down. KYXY still alive, but there's another sentry, and that'll get the job done. And in the end, it is still a favorable trade for OB.Neon as they can go right back into that Roshan pit.
Yeah, that's very, very big. Roshan number 2. Ag, Shard, Cheese, Aegis. They can get the free LT upgrade now for the Shard. Just have all that utility coming through with a press the attack. Or they could give it to Yopaj. I guess the silence on traps is pretty big as well if he wants it. We'll have to see if they will pass it on. No, leave it in the pit. Let Enryu work for it. Not even handing it to Enryu. Just have him walk back to it first. Classic. Still, they've got that Ag's upgrade, Ag Shard upgrade, and press the attack. So now there's spell immunity along with the press the attack. Lower cooldown as well. Love it. And it's going to be even more troublesome now in Team D for these fights. OB.Neon, 9k lead up. And they've got so much damage flying out on Yopaj. He's working on his Daedalus next. And that's when it gets sillier. That's when it really starts to skyrocket with his output. Once he has that, even just Crystallis feels big. So I think Team D's got to be very cautious. I mean, they've got damage with Drew. He does have the Daedalus up on that Luna. It just doesn't feel like it compares all too well to the TA right now.
Certainly doesn't, John. Yopaj, Ponlo gonna get caught. Silences are there. They want Destrus first, but he's gonna be fine as KYXY now is in with the Burrow Strike. Genuel gets blown up and OB.Neon. They're gonna have to back. Yopaj been left behind. Refraction charges. He'll pop the BKB and he'll try to fight this one out. Drew is pretty tanky though with that Crimson Guard from KYXY. And he's gonna be able to survive as now Enryu is gonna be targeted. Another Burrow Strike, but where's your detection? They don't have any. But he will blink and reveal himself, and that'll help out a bit. And they will eventually still get the kill in the end.
Yeah, they had to work for it a little bit more. They do manage to force Yopaj to waste the BKB charge, so he's down to 6 seconds. And OB.Neon, I think they want to wait for the respawn on the LC. They do need that duel for control. Yopaj is still lined up to catch someone off guard here, though.
That he is. Yopaj, he just cleans up Ponlo on the backside. KYXY, Hex is there, Shanks still burning out, Genuel gonna roll right through, they do get the stun off. Drew meanwhile trying to fight CTM, but he needs to back the hell out of there. The right click damage is way too high, and they do get the Luna into Krish now. They'd love the Lena to boot, and look at that. CTM gonna TP right in front, and there's a nice melt strike from Yopaj. 4 down. Every time Team D tries to really capitalize on one hero down on OB.Neon, it always ends up backfiring, it seems.
Yeah, it's just too much damage output. Like, once the Crimson Guard's on cooldown, a lot of that block is just gone. And they can just rip right through. Neon, they're going to have some big items flying out soon as well. Yopaj is actually switching out for the Swift Blink instead. So he's just, what, 700 gold away from that. Once he has that, his right-click damage on a blink in is just insane. You're just not going to stop that shove-in, and they're going to go for the high ground already.
Dude, that's
just
a lot
rip
of damage.
Through top. It just doesn't hold for long. The physical output with the Deso on TA, with a Nature's Prophet around, with the AC, it's just too much.
Man, they got the tier 2 mid now, thanks to Enryu, and man, that is a lot of damage. That is way too much damage. Rainbow's just flying out everywhere. They might go for Megas, John. I mean, the bot tier 3 is open to take, but they're going to back off. They'll get the Swift Link up on Yopaj. He is basically 6-slotted now. Just, you know, once the Aegis is gone, might need something else. Meanwhile, CTM, Daedalus up. In case it wasn't enough damage, he's got a bit more now. And they'll go for a big smoker.
Yeah, it's so hard to fight into Neon right now. Like, they've just got way too much output.
Oh, Drew.
Have to be careful.
They can't lose Drew. They cannot lose Drew. Jewel is there, though. Can they blow him up in time? The Crimson, it's not going to be enough. They've got the finger. They've got another double stun out thanks to Shanks. A double Earth Spike. Krish, he's just stuck in the trees right now. He might just die to Yopaj again, and it looks like he will. A godlike spree for Yopaj is now Drew. He has brought back with the Eclipse out, but he gets nothing as Yopaj is back in now. Right after the Eclipse, Destrus is going to die. The Psyblade's taking half of Ponlo's HP. As they just go right in. A triple kill for Yopaj as Drew is just trying to get back home. Just take me back home, he says. But the tier 3 tower now under siege. This game is over.
It's near impossible to defend. No spells left. Respawns aren't too long. That one kills me every single time. The GG is called from Team D. And OB.Neon, they take it in very convincing form, I want to say. They get these comfort picks out on Yopaj, on CTM. Team D, they didn't ban out the Nature's Prophet. In down the line, the first phase, and I kind of understand the TA sliding through. You can't ban everything in the first phase. You want to take care of some sort of supports that you don't want to play against first. But allowing Skem to play his signature pause 1 hero with Yopaj's TA, he gave so many timings available to OB.Neon. Like the mid kills that CTM set up for. The space they were buying out on OB.Neon to get Yopaj his Dragonlance Desolator timing. It all just lined up. Enryu is just the kind of offlaner who doesn't mind dying like that for the rest of the team. And it looked a bit weird when he'd jump in, just die, or, you know, the duels didn't really work out. But in the end, the cores that mattered got the farm, and Team D will have to kind of play around that. They need to stop that from happening. They need to invade that jungle if they see the TA. Stop that farm. Just block the camps, make them work to get those stacks, and apply more pressure to a team like OB.Neon. Otherwise, they just kind of run you down like that.
That's fair, John. We are going to head to a short 10-minute break, and right after that break, we are going to be back with Game 2 of Team D against OB.Neon. And once again, this is to find out the final qualifying team for the Loopet Pro Series 7. So a lot on the line for these two teams. OB.Neon 1 game away from qualifying. We'll see if they can do it in just about 10 minutes. See you then.